Hello, my name is Jenny. I'm a guide at our beautiful Geelong Botanic Gardens. Before we begin our tour, I would like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung people who were the first caretakers of this land, and I would like to acknowledge their elders past and present. Today I'd like to invite you in to the Geelong Botanic Gardens and I will take you on a tour. These gardens are organised for the 21st century garden, the 20th century garden and the 19th century garden. So let's go and have a look at the map. Here we have the 21st century garden and we, as it says, you are here, and that is where we are this morning. You come through the Hanson gates into the 20th century garden, which looks a lot more traditional, and then you move through the gardens to the 19th century garden. As we come in, you will see on the gate that there are some containers, and in those containers you'll find self-guided walks. They're laminated, please put them back if you use them, and you'll find a lot of information on the gardens, the garden highlights, how to organise events in the gardens, and a really good introduction to how the gardens can be used. Here we are in the amazing 21st century garden. This garden was designed by John Arnott, who was the director here then, and by Chris Dance. It is boat-shaped because there is a lot of history in this garden to do with the waterfront. And a lot of these plants came in and out of the Port of Geelong. It was opened in 2002 and it was designed during a time of drought and opened during a time of drought. All the plants here are from the Pacific region and from the Southern Hemisphere. None of them had to withstand an ice age. Therefore, all of the plants here have amazing adaptations which allow them to live in arid and semi-arid areas. As you come into the 21st century garden, you come past the Brachychaetum rupestris trees. These are bottle trees from southeastern Queensland, and you'll see that they retain moisture in their huge trunks. Behind me we have some crescent-shaped garden beds, and they are at the present planted with everlasting daisies. They have been given a wonderful name by a young visitor here. They're called the Wi-Fi bed, according to the young ones. And of course, this is the 21st century garden. The plant behind me is the dragon's blood tree, or Dracaena draco. Female dragon, male dragon. It was prized by the people of Tenerife because the red sap was used to mummify bodies, and it was also prized by the Spaniards who got to those islands in the 15th century. You can see from the leaves here where they've broken off that there is an orangey red sap, and it was used by people in the Middle Ages to varnish their furniture and musical instruments. Now I'd like to introduce you to our first director, and his name was Daniel Bunce. The lady here has no name, but she's looking very distracted, and that is for a good reason. Now, Daniel Bunce was appointed as the first director in 1857, and he was here until his death in 1871. He was a wonderful person to begin our Geelong Botanic Gardens collection, and had links all over the world and Australia for plants coming in and out. He was an interesting man. He went with Leichhardt on one of his expeditions. He also went the length of the Murray, and he explored the area of Port Phillip Bay with the local Aboriginal people and brought back seeds and cuttings of indigenous plants. The lady behind me is looking distracted because she's guilty. Behind her back, she has a flower press, and there is the Sturt Desert Pea. the seed of which Daniel collected on one of his expeditions and was able to grow very successfully here in the Geelong Botanic Gardens. Having visited Daniel Bunce and this guilty lady, we are going to walk through the silver border very shortly, and the plants here you will see are basically grey, silver, and that is again an adaptation for drought conditions. Anything which looks a bit like this is terrific to plant in your own gardens if you are a little bit short of water. But before we move through, we are going to visit the conservatory. I'm now in the conservatory. It is automatically humidified, so there's a little bit of mist around, and it is temperature controlled. It's beautifully warm in here on a cold day in winter, and you'll find that your glasses will fog up, which is why I've taken mine off. It is a wonderful area which will be open when COVID has passed, and it is a little bit restricted at the moment. So you'll see around you there are the most beautiful, colourful, unusual, exotic tropical plants, and they thrive in this environment. The displays do change, and it's a wonderful place to visit. The 20th century garden, you'll find this beautiful rose garden. The crescent-shaped beds were designed, they were opened in 1963, and the roses here are maintained by the Heritage Rose Organisation of Australia and the Western District branch of that. The beds right down the bottom are of the most ancient, the species roses, which come from basically from China and from the Middle East. And as you move up the beds behind me, you come up to the Alastair Clark collection, some David Austin roses, right up to the top little garden, which is Carabella, which was propagated by the ladies who look after this beautiful space. This is the entrance to the 19th century garden, where the first nursery was created. The urns mark that spot, but also what marks the spot are the variegated elms here near the tea house. This was a carriageway, and the trees were planted in 1897, Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. There are some of the trees left, and they are about to come into leaf. As you pass through them, you are coming into the original entrance of the garden. Bunce's first nursery was in the dip that you will see in front of you. In this, he established his first plant nursery, and by 1859, he had 2,500 species growing there. Today, that area is the parterre garden, which was developed in 2021, and here you will also find the Hitchcock fountain, which has just recently been renovated with funds from the Friends. It was built in 1904, and it was a donation by George Hitchcock, who was a prominent Geelong citizen. In 2021, it has been renovated by Catherine Milliken to its original beauty as it was in 1904. This is where I always finish my tours when I take visitors around the gardens, and this is our beautiful ginkgo biloba. It is about to burst into leaf, and they will be beautiful, beautiful, bright green, and then in the autumn it is its full glory when the leaves turn butty yellow. They stay on the tree for a while and then they fall to the ground, and it is a beautiful sight. Everybody is welcome. The gardens change with the seasons, and I would invite you all to come and enjoy our beautiful, significant Geelong Botanic Gardens.